everyone, I'm Grania Mullins, founder and CEO of Graw Chocolates. Welcome to the third episode of Simplified, a series where we demystify financial topics with AIB Life. When you're running a small business, you're juggling a lot. Protecting what you've built is so important, but for a lot of Irish businesses, it's just not a priority. Today, I'll be joined by three experts from the world of small business, assurance and finance to explore how you can safeguard your business should the worst happen. I'm joined once again by Anne-Marie Mulpeter, Financial Planning Specialist at AIB, who's going to show us a sample business case study to help us better understand the process of taking out business protection.
Hi, Grania, how are you?
Also with us today is David Coldrick, Chief Risk Officer with Sale Assurance. David is going to explain the main types of business protection available to small businesses and why they're important.
Hi, Grania.
Finally, we're joined by David Broderick, Director of the Small Firms Association, who's going to tell us how small businesses feel about this topic. So myself, I delayed this and I completely understand how it can be hard for small businesses to prioritise the business protection. Only in the last few months have I got mine organised, and I really wish I had done it so much earlier, and there's no reason except for it was the bottom of my priority list. But from a small firm's perspective, David, can you tell us how the businesses you speak to feel about this business protection?
Yeah, Grania, I think you've hit the nail on the head there yourself. It's about priorities. If you look at the small business owner, over the last couple of years, they've really lurched from crisis, from COVID into an energy crisis. And, now we're still in the middle of a cost of doing business crisis and will be for a while, I'm afraid. So it is about priorities. I mean, over the last couple of years, they would have, looked at their margins and tried to maintain margins and, made cuts wherever they can, reduce their hours, reduce staff. So everything now is about, maintaining that margin at all costs. And a lot of business owners, I'm sure like yourself, have had to go back into the kitchen floor or, pack the vans or whatever it is. So I think there's just so much going on at the moment, unless it's an immediate effect on their business. It's just pushed down that priority list. And we see that, unfortunately, on a lot of, key issues and key risks and challenges that face business, such as cyber threats, such as changes in regulations where they might have to adhere. And unfortunately, they're a bit exhausted at the moment. They just need anything that's not here and now is pushed down the agenda.
So there's really no single reason that uptake is relatively low. It's potentially a combination of factors. Priorities for small business owners are often on the day-to-day running of the business. I think we'd all like to think the worst won't happen, but when you've put so much of yourself and your time and your energy into building a business, it's so important to protect it.
Yeah, really it is the time to start early, Grania. As David said, there's never a good time to start. Priorities come up and different agendas are there, but really it's an hour, 2 hours out of your time to protect yourself, your family, your business, and to sit down with somebody and have that discussion. And hopefully that you'll get there before something happens and we're not asking the question, or you would ask yourself the question, what would happen if?
Looking at you now, David, what are some of the ways that businesses can protect themselves if the worst should happen? What kind of options are available for people who want to start their protection journey?
Yeah, I think, Grania, there's probably 4 key options that come in under that kind of business protection umbrella. The first is key person. So if you have an employee, it might be yourself, it might be someone who has significant skills or knowledge of the business. And if, unfortunately, if there is that person's untimely death, that puts the business under pressure. So key person can provide a safety net to cover maybe the loss of profits if that was to happen. Then there's also kind of shareholder protection or partner protection depending on the structure of your particular business. So again, if in the case of the death of a significant shareholder or partner, that puts significant financial obligations back on the remaining partners. That protection can give them peace of mind that, the business can continue to operate and that they're not that they could potentially, let's say, go under. And then the fourth type is loan protection. So again, in the case of small businesses in particular, where they may have one or more business loans, and again, if the business owner dies, then this provides cover such that those loans can be paid off. So again, that like the business is not left with unmanageable debt obligations. So they're probably the four key areas under that business protection
David,
umbrella.
I think also as well, you've just hit the nail on the head there with peace of mind. So there's a little bit there for owners and just peace of mind, you know what, again, to be able to sit down and just discuss what's available to them, be it loan, be it everything, and just to give you that peace of mind as a business owner, as an SME, that, and to prioritise your time, as the other David mentioned, prioritise the time to be able to get in to get that done.
Yeah, I think it's an important point. So we are in the SFA now, as people are becoming more, aware of whether they're gearing up for a sale or for a loan. They know that they have to put the business in a certain protection, and that would be the point that we would say. Like, we often get people who when we're telling them or bringing in partners to advise them on tax structures on exit, they're always saying, "God, I wish I'd known this a couple of years ago. It would have been more beneficial." So I suppose business protection should be seen in the same vein, over time in terms of protections going forward.
I think this webinar will help, and that we're sending out a series of webinars to be able to help people and to make it easier for small SMEs to be able to go in and look at it and go, you know what, maybe that's something that I should look at, and then be able to go and get it done. So,
yeah, because we don't want it to feel daunting. I think once the day I had it done, even though I had delayed it for quite a few years, I felt a sigh of relief on myself, and I felt like I was planning for the future should the worst case scenario happen, but fingers crossed it won't.
I think the key personal one in a small business, because as we all know, like, that is, you have somebody who could leave, or leaves you, and hopefully, whether unfortunately wouldn't be an untimely death, but they can be poached. There's competition out there. You really need to look at your business and say, if this person leaves, what does this mean for me? How long will it take me to replace that person? How long will it take me for them to get up to the level I need them to be?
Yeah, and I think there's probably some misperceptions out there, that if you take out liability cover, you might think that the likes of key person or wider is covered in that. Now, that's an education piece, but it's not so it is really, really important that you look at that wider business protection area.
They're all really, really good points. In our last Simplified webinar, we were exploring wealth management in the run-up to this year's tax deadlines. Anne-Marie will explore cover in more detail, but from your perspective, David, are there any tax considerations when seeking business protection?
There definitely are, Grania. I think, as part of, when you first look at what business protection might be best for, let's say, for you and your business, you should also take a look at it from a tax perspective, because different structures will have different kind of mechanisms to make it more efficient for you. So it is important that you talk to your accountant, financial advisor, etc., just on the tax implications of different structures and what actually works best for you.
That's really good information, because there's so many experts out there in their own field. We should be asking for advice whenever we can. So getting advice is always so important. No one knows your business better than you, but when it comes to the financials and protecting it, there are experts who know this stuff inside and out. I think the first phone call can feel a bit intimidating, not knowing what to say or what to expect. I've been looking forward to seeing how you can break this down for us, Anne-Marie.
Yeah, so Gráinne, I thought I'd just bring us through a sample case. So this is a fictional company that we've set up, but just to give a little bit of an understanding of what we would cover off, and especially on the protection side of things in a full financial review. So I have fictionally met with this company called Sample Kitchens Limited, and we would have done about a 2-hour fact-finding meeting to gather as much information from them as possible so that we can make recommendations for them. And they've come back in for me to present this to them. So we just cover off a little bit. They're trading, they've told us, since 1998. Currently have a staff of 10, and it's a brother and sister. Let's call them Rob and Anna. So they're in their 40s and they've absolutely nothing in place, hadn't got the time to come in before, and decided, you know what, an hour out of their time to come in and have a chat with us, and we'll have a look at what's available for them. So I'm very nosy in the review, and we go through lots of information with them in relation to turnovers and net profits and gross profits. And we have a chat with them about things that might impact their business. So the likes of a COVID pandemic or unforeseen things that might be there, or what has impacted their business over the last couple of years. we'd look at things like their properties, their stock holdings, what cash reserves they have within any bank, our own bank and then other banks. The value of the business, which is really important when we talk about shareholder protection. So the value of the business, this current sample case is 1.5 million. So you have 2 directors, 50% each, and the shareholding, the business valuation is 1.5 million. Working capital of 150,000, and what that is to cover off just salaries, deductions, day-to-day costs. During the meeting, or during the sample meeting, we covered that Anna is a key employee to the business. So she's bringing in about 50% of the revenue of the business and bringing in loads of contacts. So if anything were to happen to her, and sadly she was to pass away, Rob would be at a loss, and it would probably take him about 4 years to build back up a contact base and to be able to build back up to get to where he needs to be from a business. So what we want to do is looking at protecting her in the event of something happening to her. So shareholding is first a priority. So brother and sister, we don't really want siblings coming in, or some people don't want siblings coming in if something was to happen in the business, or people we don't know, or the business mightn't be in a position to buy back the shares of that person at the time of their death. So what we would ensure is both directors for half of the worth of the business. So 750,000 cover each for both Rob and Anna, and that gives them peace of mind if anything were to happen, either of them, that they could afford to buy back the shares and continue trading as much as they can. Then also if anything were to happen them from a sickness perspective. So in the event of them being not able to work due to an illness, that we have to protect that income for them. So the company can still pay them and they're still getting that no matter what. So obviously if you're sick and unwell, you don't want to be worrying about the finances and where they're going to come from. So it's again, peace of mind that your income is protected in the event of something happening to you. We would look at Anna from a key person. So because she's key to the business, we need to insure her as key to the business. And to say if something was to happen Anna in the morning, we would insure her for 722,000. So we present that to Rob, that money would go into the company, and then the company would be able to take time to get a new hire in, to work with somebody else, to train them, to develop them, and that their turnover wouldn't suffer and they'd still be able to manage and do day-to-day trading. And a little bit, the last one is it's a pension life cover. So we would look at 4 times salary. In the event of either one of the partners dying, that a lump sum of 4 times salary would be paid out to their next of kin and estate. And that would be there for them, again, a peace of mind for their family in the event of something happening to them.
This is great. Every business is different, but we all face a lot of the same threats. So it's really helpful to see it broken down like this. It gives a starting point for anyone feeling overwhelmed or unprepared.
Yeah, absolutely. And it can be overwhelming, and especially when all these recommendations are being made. But what it's causing or what it's creating, Gráinne, is an awareness. And that people can walk out and just say, I might start off with this. And we're starting them on a journey going right through from now till, God forbid, something happening to them or passing on their business. But it's something that's there for them to say, I can do one thing now, one thing down the line, and just get the ball rolling into getting their business protected and their family protected.
That's great. We're just coming to the end of this episode, and we've certainly had a lot to think about. David Broderick gave us a great overview of the small business landscape, especially the sentiment around business protection uptake. David Coldrick outlined the main types of protection available: loan cover, key person, shareholder protection, and partner protection, and some considerations for businesses. Finally, Anne-Marie talked us through a protection scenario. She looked at the process for seeking and starting protection with key advice for businesses. If you feel you missed anything or you want more info, we'll send a helpful one-page guide and some other resources in a follow-up email in the coming days. Thanks once again to our guests, David Broderick, David Coldrick, for their time and their expertise, and Anne-Marie Mulpeter, your practical example was really helpful for me, and I hope it was for the audience at home. You've all been amazing. And thanks to each and every one of you for tuning in to Simplified. See you next time.